Before I get to certain opinions which will subject me to the wrath of the audience, I just wanted to talk about an unpopular film that many people are not talking about, not even the platform that it is on. There is a little known film titled Cobalt Blue directed by Sachin Kundalkar, and it is based on his own book that is available on Netflix, and its release has been in limbo for a long time. The film focuses on the substantial changes in the relationship between siblings specifically affected due to the arrival of a paying guest. The film beautifully sheds light on a Marathi family that moves to Kerala and assimilates with the distinct culture and identity of the state. The movie, for some reason, was advertised last year but never really saw a release date, and again, in a weirdly hush-hush manner, was released on the platform with little to no marketing. The film is visually stunning and aims to shed light on its poetry through visual analogies, mainly through primary colors, and is a revelation in terms of the talent associated with the project, especially Neelai Mahandale and Anjali Sivaraman. Whenever I think about Prateek Babbar, I always associate him with projects like Jaane Tu Ya Jaane Na and Dhobi Ghat, projects in which he had a lasting impression, and it makes me oddly disappointed on how his true potential as an artist has been affected due to personal setbacks. Irrespective, it is a small film that does deserve your attention in the complete saturation of choices that you already have available online. Trust me, there are many takeaways both visually and from a writing standpoint from this humble yet poignant film. We are here again to get the comment section in full fire mode. Unabashedly, I urge you to write down your unpopular Indian movie opinions and chime in on mine in this video, as there is nothing better than a safe space where we can either attest to many of the points presented or simply agree to disagree. So getting right into it, here is Tried&Refused Productions with 8 very unpopular Indian movie opinions all of you will hate me for. TVF Aspirant's conclusion was half-baked. A show that everyone absolutely fell in love with was the TVF series Aspirants that was available for free on YouTube. I quickly realized while watching the show that most of TVF's projects have a connection with the pulse of the mass audience, especially the 16 to 25 year age demographic like no other production and creative company. Whether it be Kota Factory or one of my favorites, Pictures, back in the day, somehow the millennial and current Gen Z understood that most of the writing comes from living what the characters are going through. I remember finishing episode 4, the shot of Naveen Kasturia breaking down, seeing Sandeep Bhaiya played beautifully by Sunny Hinduja looking just over his shoulder, of a dead end in his journey of trying to persevere. The song Dhaga by Nilotpal Bora played, and I just could not think of a more beautiful conclusion to an episode. It made me think, what could they possibly do in the next episode that could top this? And it just seemed as if the creators wanted to have the most sugar-coated, happy ending for all the characters. An opportunity comes one's way and suddenly they achieve what they set out to do. Sandeep Bhaiya is happy with his job, friends tiff and reunite at a wedding with his ex-girlfriend, and all is well in the world. It almost seemed like episode 5 was meant to resolve every roadblock, almost in a crazy rush, which made me think that the impact of the series could have been far more meaningful if it extended the storyline by a few episodes. It was definitely a phenomenal journey, but quite the haphazard ending to not ruffle any feathers with the fanbase. I am worried about Liger. As you know, I have a relationship with the recent directorial ventures of Puri Jagannath, as they constantly feature on the Matlab Kuch Bhi series. This is not to discount the creator in any way, as he was at the top of his career at one point of time, especially in the era of releases like Pokiri, Idiot, and most recently like Temper. But the formulaic rowdy with daddy issues and anger management problems, fighting the goons and getting the girl in the process by harassing her is getting repetitive, to the point where his recent films have gone from catering to the masses to becoming just cringe material. With his venture Liger, Vijay Deverakonda channelizes his rowdy persona that he is anyway becoming notorious for and takes on the daunting task of MMA. Ananya Pandey plays such a pivotal role in the movie that she doesn't even feature in the teaser. I genuinely fear two things: that one, it features the same trope of Jagannath films that won't be any different, and two, it doesn't present Vijay in a different light than what audiences have already seen. The pan-Indian appeal of this film will be questionable, as Jagannath's last 5 ventures have been nothing short of embarrassing. I have been rooting for Deverakonda ever since Geeta Govindam, even though he gets a lot of slack, but I fear that this is not a venture that will give him absolute global stardom. The Fan Criticism Hypocrisy. I just wanted to point out something about the hypocrisy that comes with social media movements regarding experts who talk about who could have better suited roles versus the ones who are already cast. The moment the trailer of Gangubai Kathiawadi went on the floors, everyone discredited Alia Bhatt and her capability as an actor to pull off the role. Everyone recommended names from Tabu to Vidya Balan without taking into context the age that the character portrays. Irrespective of the debate, Gangubai resonated with the masses as it reflected with the box office run that it had. But the hilarious part is that the same handles who were starting petitions and hashtags that were going viral for Vidya Balan to play the role of Gangubai couldn't care less about her venture Jalsa. The same person that most people are claiming to be the most capable actor, you want the retweets to appear for a controversial opinion, but when a venture like Jalsa needs your support, it doesn't guarantee you the same engagement, so you don't even indulge in it. And that, my friends, is the hypocrisy of most fandoms online, that only want to argue and present their point when it's most convenient. And when a venture requires attention and support, they seem to vanish in thin air. Agnipath is the best Bollywood remake. Okay, I recently sat down to think about Bollywood remakes that get a bad rep, and deservedly so because, well, they don't come close to the quality and ingenuity presented in the original films. But in one case, I genuinely feel that the remake topped the original film in all aspects, and that has to be the 2012 film Agnipath. If you're listening to this, first of all, just go right now and watch the official trailer of Agnipath. It's something that the current marketing professional should actually look at on what is enough to excite audiences to step into the theatre. An engaging background score and snippets of characters rather than long drawn out dialogues that spill out half the plot. Whenever an actor is hired to play a role that has been immortalized by a Bollywood legend, in this case Amitabh Bachchan, it's a crazy daunting task, but through Karan Malhotra's adaptation skills, Hrithik Roshan made Vijay his own, more sensitive, brooding and exuding sheer empathy and pain. His chemistry with Priyanka Chopra was extremely organic. The film showcased one of the most wicked performances by Rishi Kapoor and Sanjay Dutt, and who can forget the breathtaking music composed by Ajay Atul, especially the Ganesh Chaturthi sequence that showcases Vijay engulfed in red gulal on the path of revenge to Mandwa. By the way, exceptionally portrayed as a desolate post-apocalyptic mess completely devoid of joy and morality. This was the last of mass Bollywood cinema in my eyes, and you can chime in on what you think about the same. The Pan-Indian Curse. After watching Baahubali, I was rooting for all the ventures that Prabhas is going to feature in. But sadly, what has happened with both Saho and Radhesham is that Prabhas is working with friends who don't have a rich filmography that can handle movies at an epic budget and scale. This has in turn messed up both the narratives of his films, becoming haphazard eventually and put a lot of pressure on the man because as Prabhas earned global acclaim with Baahubali, each movie has to be bigger than the other. This has also created a notion within many industries that all movies with big stars in their state can be a KGF, RRR or Pushpa. But ventures like Radhesham and Valimai are clear indicators about the fact that this is not a fail-safe. I think this pan-Indian approach applied for all films with A-list actors should actually be determined on whether it will connect with the masses versus just depending on the star value of the actors. Adipurush in my eyes will change the fate of Prabhas's career, but the pan-Indian model just does not apply for every movie with a big actor. Rajkumarrao and accents. One of the most capable and versatile actors in my eyes is Rajkumarrao. This is the man who has come with zero connections within the film industry and has made a name for himself with such iconic roles. The man has the ability to create an impression both in artistic films as well as the commercial space, assimilating perfectly within the worlds of Newton and Shahid as well as Bareligi, Barfi and Stree. But one thing that I have noticed about Rajkumar is that whenever he plays a character who has spent a lot of time in a foreign land, his accent is something that has always been jarring to the ear. Both in Omerta and The White Tiger, the perception that Raj has spent an ample amount of time abroad does not translate in his delivery and actually sounds like an Indian attempting an American or British accent. A criticism that I felt is accurate for a very specific part of his filmography. He nails almost every accent in different parts of India to the T, but not so much when the NRI tag comes into the picture. Anushka Sharma, however, takes the cake with terrible accents in movies. Love Aajkal 2 with some changes would have been brilliant. As you may know, I am a sucker for Imtiaz Ali movies, but I have trashed his recent ventures like Jab Harry Met Sejal and Love Aajkal 2. But I saw the Sara Ali Khan and Kartik Aaryan starrer and realized why exactly it did not work, and there are multiple things that made me realize if tweaked a bit, this movie could have actually been beautiful. Let's get the good out of the way. Randeep Hooda is phenomenal in this film and probably one of the reasons why it partly works, and his message conveyed through love today versus how it was back in the day really does hit home. The chemistry shared between Kartik and Arushi, who is exceptional in this movie by the way, also connects with you because there is a genuine hurdle to be dealt with, so you initially empathize sympathize with the characters and their longing for one another, and then eventually understand them parting ways. However, the modern relationship is a complete miss due to two reasons. Sara Ali Khan just does not work as Zoe. She is overdramatic, overacts, and the low-angle close-ups for her outbursts are absolutely unflattering. The conflict between her plan to make it big in her career versus the skepticism with love simply needed a better actor to convey. Even after the second viewing, I cringed in most of her scenes, and it made me think that an actor like Sania Malhotra would have probably worked brilliantly in this movie. The writing also, if tweaked a bit, could have resonated more with the audience. For example, make the hurdle more than it just being a career versus love situation, because that is as generic as it gets. And secondly, the memo given to Karthik to play this confused fellow initially comes across as if he has some disorder, only slowly to realize he's just an awkward guy. If performed along the same lines as the flashback, it would have been way more effective. This movie is a mess still, don't get me wrong, after a second viewing also, but I can understand how that beautiful music album just deserved better treatment. Underwhelming films are pushed under the rug versus ridiculed in Bollywood. Most Bollywood movies get the wrath of the Indian audience online when they fail at the box office. Currently, Attack is getting a lot of slack despite their inventive attempt, and John Abraham and his capability as a star to draw audiences is being questioned. This also happened with Bachchan Pandey, and there is a genuine consensus on how toxic the comments get the moment there is a box office failure. But what I've noticed is within the Tamil, Telugu and Malayalam ventures that have failed this year or have just been, underwhelming products, the discourse almost attempts to push it under the rug rather than give them some vitriol like the Bollywood ventures. In the Tamil film industry, there have been absolutely underwhelming projects like E.T. with Surya, Maran with Dhanush, Valimai with Ajit, but they don't really get the harsh criticism all across the board. Similarly, in the Telugu space, films like Radhe Shyam and Khiladi are almost protected because of the actors associated with it. Even Malayalam films like Arattu and Hey Sinamika don't deserve to be raved about at all. Actually, I found both the ventures quite embarrassing. I think it's important to call a spade and just mention the fact that a project did not work out. Everyone is human and will have an oscillating career, and there shouldn't be any shame to pick up your socks and learn from there, rather than avoid it to eternity and completely dismiss any criticism. And that was the video, guys. Write down also your unpopular opinions regarding Indian movies. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.